Hello, everybody. My name is Jory Edwards. I'm the creator of the Freedom for Canada group, and let's talk about filing a Section 74 challenge. Or can we even do that? But I don't care, 'cause I know it's so rare. Well, as many of you actually already know, I went and I spoke with a lawyer extensively over the weekend and had a really good talk with him. I talked to him about the possibilities of filing a Section 74, how you'd have to do it, which essentially just breaks down to getting the proper form, contacting the provincial court, sending in that form signed, documented, and everything, and going with the flow. He did say that it would be hard to make a base argument for everybody to use based on the fact that everybody's circumstances can be different, like if anybody had some sort of criminal past or a pardon or so on and so forth. As we got into it more, it seemed to get even more complicated because, well, the letters received don't seem to actually have total legal basis, and let's get into that a little bit. So things ended up being a little bit different than we had expected. As we can see here, we're going to look at a tweet from Rod Giltacker from the CCFR. It says, "The absolute train wreck that is Bill Blair and Justin Trudeau, wasting millions doing basically nothing 5 days a week." And let's take a look at how that affects us. We have a letter from Bob Zimmer, who is an MP from Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies. And the letter he's written is straight to Mr. Bill Blair, the Honorable Bill Blair. Anyways, it says, "I am seeking clarification from your office regarding letters the RCMP has recently sent to firearms owners nullifying certain restricted firearms registration certificates due to the firearms ban, which was brought in by your government through order in council in May." Well, we all know that happened. According to subsection 72-1 of the Firearms Act, and this is very important, if a chief firearms officer decides to refuse to issue or to revoke a license or authorization to transport, or the registrar decides to refuse to issue or to revoke a registration certificate, authorization to export, or authorization to import, the chief firearms officer or registrar shall give notice of the decision in the prescribed form to the applicant for a holder of the license, registration, certificate, or authorization. In addition, subsection 72-2 states that a notice given under subsection 1 must include reasons for the decision disclosing the nature of the information relied on for the decision and must be accompanied by a copy of sections 74 to 81. I didn't get one of those letters because all I own is non-restricted, because honestly I do have the restricted license, but I thought something ridiculous like this might happen one day and I avoided it. And I've read the letter. There's no copy of section 74 or 81 or anything like that. Anyways, it says that the letters recently received by firearms owners did not follow this format and did not include a copy of those sections. Not only that, but rather than being personally delivered, couriered, transmitted by electronic means, or sent by registered mail, these letters were sent via regular mail. This seems to go against the notice of refusal or revocation section of the Firearms Registration Certificates regulations. These letters were also sent unsigned, which is very important if you're going to be doing a challenge, so there's no clear indication as to whether the person who issued the letter was the registrar. Well, who the hell sent these letters, really? Was it just the RCMP trying to scare us? Might have been. It is in the opinion of some legal experts that due to that fact, these letters failed to comply with the above requirements. They should not be considered revocation letters. Therefore, I am seeking clarification as to whether the RCMP considers these to be revocation letters, and if not, what was the purpose of sending a letter to firearms owners that could be confused as a revocation letter? In my opinion, we'll look at the second part of this here. In my opinion, I think they're trying to bully us. They're trying to scare people into giving up their guns and thinking, oh my god, I've got a gun that I'm not registered to own. I have a safe queen that I don't want to hold on to, and I don't want them coming in and kicking down my door in 2 years, so I'm just going to give it up. I think that's the mentality they're trying to give to people, and if not, then are they trying to say this is our 30 days notice? Because it's not. And let's see. If these are revocation letters, by what means can Canadians exercise their legal right to a Section 74 hearing, and why is the Section 74 process not spelled out as is required by law? It's not on the letters, and it legally has to be. He asks for 4 questions to be answered. Why were these letters sent 81 days after the firearms were banned on May 1st? How many of these letters were sent out? Because realistically, this is a ridiculous waste of money. 3. Was this the same letter sent to the owners of the non-restricted firearms that were made prohibited? How will these owners be ascertained? Because, like I said, I don't own any restricted firearms, and if something that I own has been banned, how are they going to get the information out to me that it is banned? Especially since they added something like 9,000, I think it's more than 9,000 now, guns to the FRT. Is that a legal document now? Are those guns actually banned? Who knows? Then he goes on to ask, how many owners of the formerly non-restricted firearms are there? How many of us, maybe, for example, my Tavor is banned today. How the hell am I going to find that out? So that doesn't mean that we're completely limited in our options, as Section 74 doesn't look possible under certain circumstances, but the only option that I can find that might make sense would be a judicial review, and I'll leave a link in it that'll give you a long description and a great, I guess, guide on how you would do this. And if you're interested in doing this, then by all means, this is essentially just as good for the time being, but let's take a quick look. So, what is a judicial review? In the narrow context relevant to this guide, it means a procedure by which an administrative decision of the government may be challenged in court. So what is the challenge? Well, to put it bluntly and make it short, we're challenging the order in council and why it was brought in. When we go down, obviously the regulations were brought in on May 1st, 2020. Any person affected by the ban on the 1,500 firearms or types that were prohibited on May 1st, a dealer, anyone who sells it, anyone who owned them, is able to do this. Scroll down real quick. What is the legal basis for challenging it? And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So, if you know anything about firearms laws in Canada when it comes to the legality of importing or exporting them, when it comes to importing them, the only guns that are allowed to be owned in Canada or even brought into the country have to be reasonable for sport shooting, and that could be competition target shooting or whatever, or hunting. It has to be reasonable for those 2 things. First off, the AR-15, we all know, is reasonable for target shooting. It is reasonable for competitions. In fact, it's probably the best rifle that you could own if you're going to compete, and I've seen many arguments as to how this is going to affect people when it comes to target shooting. And of course, I mean, many people were hunting with certain firearms that have now been banned, so, you know, you definitely have a reason to do this. It ends up being that we are going to be challenging the governor and council's opinion on that. Basically, as I said, we all know they were legal to come into the country for sport shooting and hunting. The RCMP already checked them. Our laws are already in place, and what they are doing is essentially saying that the RCMP either lied or made a massive mistake, which I don't think is true. So what you're doing is challenging their opinion. It also goes on to show you how you would initiate it, which court would you be going to. It shows you all the forms that you got to download, which, let's take a look here. I think it's called a Form 301, but if you're going to look into doing a judicial review, I suggest that you do it as quickly as possible, because technically they do have the 30-day rule in here as well, and it ends up working out to May 29th being the last date of those 30 days that you're supposed to do it. But the way the law works, you can still file it. It's just going to be a little bit longer or more complicated to actually get it done. So for the time being, this is probably our best option. I'm not sure if I said already, but I didn't have time to talk to the lawyer about this because I was unaware of it until I came home and did more research. I had a long talk with him about a Section 74 challenge. I had a long talk to him about how I'm making Freedom for Canada its own not-for-profit group. I'm talking to him about, possibly being legally represented one day, but it would cost around $5,000 to get started on that, and right now we're small, so that's probably not going to happen. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's a little bit disappointed that we can't do the Section 74 challenge currently, or at the very least that it's really not advisable. It's something that we can't do successfully or properly in the current state of things. But if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, help me grow this channel. And these shirts look great on me, they'd look great on you too. I do have them. I'm probably gonna get a website set up as soon as I can make this an actual society, and I'll get those going too. But first, before even thinking about helping my little group out, donate to the CCFR or get a membership, because they're the ones with the biggest battle and they're doing the absolute most for us. Rod Giltaka and Tracy Wilson are the heroes of today, so check them out. Follow them on Twitter, like them on Facebook, join the group, donate if you can. Thanks guys.